Hey guys, 206 Analysis here, deciding to do a long overdue video, Fedor Emelianenko versus Anderson Silva greatness. Who is greater? Who is the greatest of all time? I will make my decision at the end of the video, but let me list this thing. I decided to make this video because, over the time, I'm a patient man when it comes to hate. With boxing, I'm a flomo. With mixed martial arts, I'm a man of patience because I like Fedor Emelianenko. He is one of my favorite fighters. He is out of my top 5 favorite fighters of all time. He is at number 2. Number 1 isn't Anderson Silva. It isn't Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva is at my 6th favorite fighter of all time. But I'll get to it. I'm not going to deny that Anderson Silva, again, don't count out. I'm not counting out Anderson Silva. My decision isn't final. That doesn't mean, that there did not mean my decision. Because some of the fighters my favorite fighter of all time is Mirko Crocop. It is Mirko Crocop. So, I'm not saying one of those two have to be my favorite fighter. Because, again, not many people would put Mirko Crocop as their favorite fighter. So, let me just get into it. So, I've been a fan of MMA since 1999. I was watching Pride. I was watching Pride with my father. My father had a friend who owned a bar, and he was able to put me, every time he went to the bar, during those nights that Pride was on, he put me in a back room, and he was a big MMA fan. He was a fan of MMA since the beginning, and he would let me watch he'd let me watch Pride live. So I was watching Pride, not in 2000, like not in 1999, but in 2000. I watched Pride in 2000, and my favorite fighter from the start was Igor Vovchin. He was my first favorite fighter. Krokop became my favorite fighter after he knocked him out. But, that just shows I'm not really just a typical MMA fan that just goes, oh yeah, those guys are the greatest of all time. I've watched MMA for so long, I've really have gotten to see many other fighters, of their skill set, But now let's really get into it. Fedor Emelianenko versus Anderson Silva in their primes. Anderson Silva, I could maybe say he's in his prime, but it's a tough thing to say. I think he's getting out of his prime. His prime was from leaving Pride after going with a 3-2 record and up to 2010 to the loss of Chael Sonnen. Or no, not Chael Sonnen. I think it was probably the win against Vitor Belfort. Even though he just dominated Yushin Okami, I still think he is still, he's losing his prime. He's going, whatever fighter has to go through, and that is the loss of skill, fighting guys that are now twice as skilled now. That's what's the problem with MMA legends. They can't fight these fighters because they're very skilled. They're now more well-rounded than ever. They're stronger. They have more punching power, and that. So to now to go off prime, Fedor Emelianenko prime. Pride. He was fighting in Pride. He defeated he was a small heavyweight for the heavyweight division. He stood at 6 foot. He stood at 6 feet. Now, some of the fighters he was fighting fighters who were 7 feet, who were high 6 foot, maybe 6'10", 6'11". I don't remember. I know Hong Chung. Fuck, I forgot that guy's name. I don't remember that guy's name. He fought that guy. He fought this other white guy, but here's the thing with both of them, with Fedor. You can't. And when hearing Dana White go on and saying how he sucks, how can you say that? How can he be speaking so ironically? Why is it that he was the one man that wanted Fedor? He was going out. He was trying his hardest. He was paying Fedor. He was wanting to pay Fedor a huge contract just for him to come fight in the UFC. He was He desired Fedor than anyone else. He feared Fedor in the beginning when the win before Pride was bought out. He feared him. He feared him. He feared Mirko Krop. I'm not gonna go through all the list, but he feared the fighters in Pride. He feared them because they were the ones that were making more money. They were the ones that were making the UFC kind of have a little bit of problems with competing. Dana White, when he bought out Pride, when Zuffa bought out Pride, he had no fear. He didn't have to fear anything. And he's going out getting these, old Pride fighters. These Pride fighters don't do so well in the UFC. They don't do well in UFC since it's all new, new competition, younger, the hungry young lions coming through. And now to say that here he's saying Fedor sucks is blasphemy. Fedor sucks. As I recall, Fedor has probably one of the most legendary careers, legendary streaks, over a 30 win streak. Okay, he basically he was beating the shit out of a lot of fighters who were twice his size. He wasn't afraid to get busted up. Man, one second. I wrote something down. Now think of this. Here's the fighters he was fighting, these guys in their prime. Heath Herring during his prime in Pride. He defeated him via doctor stoppage after he was consistently ground and pounding him. Ground and pound, consistent strikes to the face. He beat Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira twice. Beat Mark Coleman. Submitted him twice after Mark Coleman. If you know MMA, you know a lot of fighters did fear Mark Coleman during his prime. They knew they had to fight this man who was this one man who was so high in weight. This man who was such a very experienced wrestler. And then we see Fedor able to submit him easily. For him to be very calm when he was on his back and be able to submit Mark Coleman and just make Mark Coleman, have that little emotional post-fight thing with his daughters, saying, Daddy's okay, he's okay, So, again, you can't count out Fedor saying he's not bad. I'm going to get to Anderson Silva, don't worry. Now, he beat Kevin Randleman after getting slammed on his head. He was being out-grappled by Kevin Randleman. Randleman looked like he could have gotten the win after he did the slam right on top of his head. But no, he got him out. He got out of there and got him with a Kimura. Then he fought, I'm just going down this list. Tim Sylvia. Tim Sylvia came into this fight bigger than Fedor. Some people were counting out Fedor. A lot of people were counting out Fedor for this one. They thought Tim Sylvia was going to beat him, but they were wrong. Sylvia got humiliated in less than a minute. He got knocked down and submitted in under a minute, and he was humiliated. Then, to his last really really proving win, Andrei Arlovsky. Andrei Arlovsky. This is before Andrei Arlovsky, where his glass jaw really originated, was before this fight. Fedor was getting hit. He was getting some hits on. He was getting beat up, not badly, but he's getting pretty beat up during that time. And then we see Andrei Arlovsky get knocked out, flying through the air, and then after that, we see how his career ended up. We see how his career ended. We see him we see that he's getting knocked out practically by everyone. He can't fight top competition. He has to go and fight many fighters who are very unknown. That's what Fedor ruined Andrei Arlovsky. He beat these legendary fighters who we all know today. Beat him in their prime. Beat him convincingly. And he went in and put on a war. Yes, he went through his losses with Fabricio Verdum. If Fedor, if this was a calmer Fedor, a more patient Fedor, And this time he didn't go to the ground, which, I don't really see this fight even changing anyway, because it's Fedor. He has to go to the ground. That's just him. You know, he could have won the fight if he didn't go to the ground. Let's see this. Then he got beat by Bigfoot. Bigfoot got him. Bigfoot got him pretty badly. I won't deny it. Then he fought Dan Henderson. He was close to beating Dan Henderson. He just unfortunately got flipped and got ground and pound. And then he got his fight with Jeff Monson. Not really the most entertaining fight. Then his recent knockout win against I know he was this gold medalist, judo. I don't know. But this is, Fedor is done, really. He's done with, fighting those really, really exciting fights, where we all thought he was going to win. Fedor, he is done. It's true, he is done. You can't, I can't really say that he's going to be fighting for a title anytime soon. But I still don't count out his legendary career like some people do, which some, MMA fans say they do. They count him out saying that he sucks. Now to Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva, by God, he is a very skilled fighter. He is a man with amazing skill, amazing Muay Thai, devastating clinch, great ground game. He could still fight until he's 40. He could still go on a win streak until he's 40. But he has problems with wrestlers. Chael Sonnen, I think Chael Sonnen has a very good chance of beating Anderson Silva in this second fight. I don't count out Sonnen. I think he does have a very good chance of winning this one. All he has to do is not take a break. He has to just have endless cardio in this one. He has to have amazing cardio in this one fight to make sure he keeps going. Keeps taking him down and keeps clipping him. And that was when the first time I saw that Anderson Silva doesn't have the greatest chin. He was getting clipped He was getting clipped. He was leaving his hands down, and he was actually getting rocked. This is this was one of the first times I've ever seen him really get in such big trouble ever since his last fights in Pride. So, going down the list of Anderson Silva, let me type his name in. Alright. Anderson Silva. He's 31-4. Has had an amazing streak in the UFC. People say he's beating the best of the best. Yes, he is. He is beating the best of the best. I don't deny it. I think he is definitely fighting. He fights great fighters. It's just, here's the difference. Fedor was small. Anderson Silva is huge for the middleweight division. He's 6'2". 77-inch reach. That's longer than about a majority. More than 90% of the division. He fights guys that are smaller than him. He doesn't normally fight any man who is bigger than him. He had a good size matchup when he fought Yushin Okami, but that's about it. He fought guys, Chael Sonnen. He problem with a guy that was about 5'11". He fights guys that are about maybe 2 inches to 4 inches, smaller than him. He's beaten. Let's go up the list. Chris Lieben, smaller than him. Rich Franklin, I think he's a bit smaller than him. I think, he's 6'1". What else? Travis Luter, that's pretty small. Mark Quart, Franklin again. Henderson, he's relatively not the tallest fighter. Forrest Griffin, that's the first time, but really this was just not Forrest Griffin. That Forrest Griffin just, I love Forrest. I didn't think he was ever gonna win against him. Not even he didn't even have a chance against Anderson Silva. You know, they just made the stylistic matchup for that one just horrible. A brawler against a man who loves brawlers. You know. So now going over the list, I've listed now the difference between the two is that Fedor fought big guys, fought men who were bigger than him, bigger in size, bigger in height. Anderson Silva beats guys who are just smaller than him in size, in height. Sometimes they're bigger than him in size, but for him, for his height advantage, that's really not a big fact. It's not really big, it's not really going to change anything against him. Who I think is the greatest of all time? I do think that they both are going to go in they're going to be the two greatest fighters of all time. But I think Fedor Emelianenko is the greatest of all time. Due to the fact is that, I'll say this. This is what I think is the biggest fucking difference. This motherfucker stood in front of people and wanted to get hit. He didn't give a fuck. He actually went in and made them fight. He made them actually have to fight for the win. Anderson Silva, all he fucking does is likes to dance. He dances around. Come on. We see that he can get, he doesn't have a great of a chin as Fedor than Fedor. He doesn't have even close to the chin. Okay? He's getting rocked by Chaelstein, and he's really just a big dancer. He's always doing a little dance fucking move. Come on, just fucking go in front of him and actually, stand in front of him. Don't dance. Keep your hands, keep your hands, keep your hands up and fight them. Not dance, stay at a fucking distance. Fight them, like Fedor did. I like men who went in and fought, not men who danced. I respect Anderson Silva nonetheless, but I don't think that he's the greatest of all time. He never fought guys like Fedor fought. He never fought a wrestler like Mark Coleman. Basically, probably the wrestler like Mark Coleman is Chael Sonnen, and you can see how he had problems. He never fought, Still, he never fought any guy bigger than him. That's another thing. What else? Something good. What's another thing that he has never done? He never won a Pride tournament. Those were the toughest tests. Those were the toughest challenges of all time. Fighting 2 times. I never saw Anderson Silva fought 2 times in one night and go on to win. I never did. He never even got close. Here, you can see he never even fought in a Pride Grand Prix. Never did. He never was even considered. He did well against Rio Chona before getting the heel hook, the flying heel hook, but he never really had the chance. I didn't ever think he really had a chance of during his time in Pride. I know who he was. I remember Anderson Silva dancing to the Michael Jackson shit, but I never thought, he was going to win a Pride championship. I always liked Fedor. I always watched Fedor. I was watching Fedor win those championships since 2000. So I really will always say that Fedor Emelianenko is the greatest of all time. But Anderson Silva does, sorta. He gets close to the greatness of him. Because, again, Anderson Silva fights in the Ultimate Fighting Championships with limited rules. He can't do some things that he would love to do. It's not like that for him. He gets a little disadvantage. And I don't deny that he has an amazing skill set. He does. He has great striking, great grappling, just great a lot of things. But the greatest of all time is Fedor Emelianenko in my book. Leave your comments leave your comments. I really don't give a fuck what you guys say, MMA is a sport of all opinions, It's like any other sport. Not everyone can agree, but let's see. I want to see if real mixed martial arts fans actually watch my videos. All right. Peace out.